Be me, city kid, 8 years old, up at grandparents' place in the country for Thanksgiving. Everyone's a bit drunk. They start telling stories. Monsters, ghost stories, just kid stuff. Grandpa suddenly speaks up. He hardly ever talks. When I was growing up out in the woods with my ma and pa, we used to have a woman who called herself Annie Witch living nearby. One day Annie came by and told my ma she wanted ma to give her my baby sister. Ma told her to take a hike. She didn't like that. She tried for a month to talk ma into giving her my baby sister, but ma wasn't having it, so then she put a curse on her. She said if she couldn't have the kid, nobody could, and if the kid passed away and my ma didn't give her the body, the devil would curse our house. That winter, the baby passed away. Wasn't that uncommon back then? She was born in 1921, and ma buried her out behind the shack. 1 week after she passed, we all woke up to the sounds of her crying. This happened every night for the next 3 weeks. Annie came by during those weeks to tell us to give her the body, and ma told her to F off. Once the crying stopped, that's when the devil showed up. I was laying in my bed, on my side, when I felt something laid down right behind me. I felt breath on my neck, stank like sulfur. Sounded like a dog, but we didn't own one. Pa hated them and would shoot any on our property. Arms wrapped around my chest and held me tight, and I just sat there all night like that. Happened for a whole week before it stopped. Never talked about it until my pa was dying, and he asked me if I ever felt the devil lay down in my bed. Told him I had, and he went quiet. He passed away the next day. That's why we burned that shack down after he passed. He's so serious, it looks like he's in a trance. My grandma put her hand on her back and says it's time to go to bed. Didn't sleep at all that night. Never got to ask if he was serious since he passed the next year. WTF, I have a story like this in my family. My grandma, mom's mom, had some issues with her right hand. Couldn't move it at all. Fingers were all locked up like bad arthritis. She let me feel it once, and the hand was hard as stone. Finally asked her what happened to it, and she told me a story. Said when she was younger, she angered this old lady in her hometown. This was in rural Arkansas somewhere, way back in the 50s or 40s, I can't remember. Anyway, the old lady was known to be a witch. Grandma said she woke up one night and heard something outside her window. Looked outside, looked out. There goes the old witch walking away from her house, clearly visible in the moonlight. The next day, she found a weird object buried in the dirt outside her room, just below the window. Dog dug it up. The object looked like a little pillow with gross stuff inside it. She mentioned a tooth and some hair. Pillow was sewn up with red thread. A day later, the dog passed away. That same night, Grandma had a weird dream where she wakes up in bed, hears something walking around in her room. Describes it as similar to the trot of a horse or a goat, kind of a slow. Grandma realizes she can't move. The trotting approaches her bed. Though she can't see anything, she feels a pair of hands clasp her right arm. Weird smell just then, a bit like burning. Feels pain in her right hand. Passes out. A week later, her hand locks up. Never functions again. She's from an era when nobody went to the doctor, so she just lived with it. Could be a genuine medical issue, but the story is still weird because I could tell she wasn't bullcrapping me. This story always makes me a little more sad than scared, but it is spooky. Grew up in a 3-bedroom house. Parents got the master bedroom. brother and I got the next biggest room. My aunt got the smallest room. She lives in that room for years before she passes away in a car accident. Her boyfriend was driving them to a party when an 18-wheeler crashed and killed them on the freeway. Mom was devastated. Aunt's room remained untouched for a while. During that time, I used to hear stuff in that room a lot. Aunt's room had hardwood floors. My bed was right up against the wall. At night, I could hear footsteps through the wall. The distinct sound of someone pacing the floors. Sometimes I would hear the spring mattress creaking too, like someone was laying down in it. The scariest experience I had was when I got up in the middle of the night to use the restroom and heard footsteps in my aunt's room from the hall. The house was dark and everyone else was asleep. I hurried to the bathroom, did my business, and was returning to my room when I heard the doorknob to my aunt's room rattling. Not violently or anything, but it sounded very loud in the silence. I froze and stared at the door. I saw the doorknob jiggling. After a moment it stopped and I heard footsteps retreating away from the door. Bolted to my room and fell asleep hiding under the covers. Eventually the room was finally emptied. All the ghost activity stopped after that. I wonder if my aunt's spirit was trapped in that room by her belongings, maybe. Once we got rid of all her stuff, I never heard anything again. Be Aunt by Marriage's Father. Be med student in North Vietnam. Be drafted into North Vietnamese army as a medic. Can't wait to kill some capitalist pig dogs for the glorious revolution. Get sent to join North Vietnamese army / Viet Cong operation. North Vietnamese army officers and specialists, Viet Cong foot soldiers. Kept in the dark about mission details. Team arrives in coastal fishing town. Meet up with contact. Contact briefs them on a mission. Team will be carried to a large island miles offshore. Island has an old abandoned airstrip from World War II. Plan is to booby trap the frick out of the island, make it unusable for the US. All up in the surrounding jungle and ambush American soldiers as they enter. Morning of the operation. Boarding fishing boats. Boats have crates of supplies under nets and crab. Notice, they have a ton of ammunition, explosives and tools. Only about a week's supply of food and water. Uncle points this out to the commander, Quan. Quan assures him that the North Vietnamese army will pick them up after the Americans flee. Also, that the Viet Cong foot soldiers with them are rural people used to living off the land. If there is a delay, the Viet Cong can forage for food. Uncle is a bit unnerved, but still excited to do his part for the revolution. Fishermen drop them off on island, all but unloading supplies and equipment. Set up camp in the woods. Start turning likely landing areas into a death trap. Bungee boards, jab, landmines, tripwires, etc. Hidden machine gun nests. Subtle range markers for sniper made. Screw up non-overgrown parts of the landing strip. Watch for ships and aircraft constantly. Uncle sits on a log watching the horizon at night with an SKS some nights. 4 days. Americans still haven't showed up. One of their head booby trap guys is having trouble installing some kind of explosive trap. Asks for one of the other experts and his assistant to come take a look. Other guy tinkers with it. Bits of half the booby trap team raining down. Surviving experts realize they neglected to mark where many of the dead men's traps were located. Quan is peed off as heck. Orders everyone to be careful as heck about setting off traps. 1 week out of water. running low on rations. Somebody got hung in an unmarked foot trap. Uncle used up a ton of antibiotics treating him. 2 weeks. Viet Cong guys stretch food supply for a while with edible plants and wildlife, but there are too many people to feed. The second in command gets bit by a snake, has a major allergic reaction to the venom, passes away. 3 weeks. Everyone is starving. Quan and other officers getting a lion's share of whatever is left to eat. Still no Americans. People getting angry at officers. 3.5 weeks. See US ships in the distance. Aircraft flying overhead. Prepare for battle. Something's wrong. They aren't coming closer. Realize ships are passing the island, heading towards the mainland. See smoke on the horizon. Hear distant explosions. Realize the Americans aren't coming to the island. Realize their contacts and prayers for extraction team probably just got blown up. They're on their way. Very frickin' hungry at this point. City guy kills a snake. Doesn't cut the head off before trying to prep it. Dead snake reflexively whips back and bites him. Another one bites the dust. .jpg. Someone is caught hoarding food. Gets his life taken by angry comrade. Friend of hoarder shoots his killer. Quan shoots friend. 4 weeks. Uncle is having some serious thoughts about this whole communism and global revolution thing. Starts clandestine meetings with a few other guys who don't want to die on this freaking island. Plan is to somehow build a raft and escape unnoticed by the hardliners. Work in shifts, putting one together in a remote part of the island. Uncle wakes up to sound of gunfire. Quan tells men not to worry about it. Sniper comes walking out of the bush an hour later. Has a soaking wet bag over his shoulder. Quan states that they discovered 2 traitors plotting to escape and warned the US of their presence. He had been suspicious of one man in particular, so he had the sniper track him when he went on a foraging run. Quan orders Sniper to open bag. Sniper dumps 2 heads on the ground. Uncle recognizes them as co-conspirators. Sniper states that he followed the traitor to the raft and watched whoever went out that way. Waited until he'd seen another guy come out to work on it. Told Quan. Quan ordered the other guy he'd spotted to try fishing on the beach near the raft area. Guy went over to check in raft first. Sniper shot them both. Quan states that he thinks there are more traitors in their midst. Uncle and other remaining conspirators realize they are in deep crap. 5 weeks. About a dozen men left total, most of whom are frickin' terrified of Quan and the sniper now. Will do anything they say in order to stay out of their wrath. Uncle and friend realize they won't ever make it off this dang island if Quan and the sniper are alive. If they're both taken out, the other guys will likely want to get off the island ASAP as well. Decide they have to take the life of Quan and the sniper. Uncle takes Quan, friend takes sniper. Both targets are paranoid as heck about mutiny. This week is going to be difficult. 6 weeks. Uncle plans to place a snake in Quan's bedroll. No luck catching any for a few days. One night, wake up to screaming. Blinding flashes from 3 gunshots. Quan has a body on top of him. It's one of the other soldiers. Guy tried to stab Quan in his sleep. Screwed it up. Knife wound wasn't lethal. Quan woke up and screamed. Attacker began stabbing wildly. Quan held up an arm to block the knife while reaching for his pistol with the other. Started shooting wildly. Accidentally shot himself. Pumps 2 rounds into attacker. Attacker passed away, but Quan is torn up. Hacked up neck, forearm is cut to the bone in spots, gunshot wound in the crook of his arm, bleeding like crazy. Yells for uncle to help. Uncle pulls out medical supplies, begins patching up wounds, gives him pills with vasodilating and blood-thinning side effects, injects with an overdose of painkillers. Sniper is watching, but luckily knows nothing about medicine. Asks Sniper to help him apply pressure to wounds. Uncle acts increasingly distraught as bleeding doesn't stop through the night. Guan passes by morning. Sniper takes command. Friend just shoots him in the head when he goes to take a dump. Uncle talks to surviving men. Says they've only got one chance to make it off this island alive, as prisoners of war. Survivors argue over it at first, but hunger wins out. Begins setting fires all over the island. Use mortar to make loud explosions. Fire flares at night. Next day, an airplane flies low over the island. Wave white flags and do whatever they can to get the attention. US military sends heavily armed patrol by the island. One survivor can speak crappy English, yells at Americans that they are surrendering. Patrol orders men to strip naked and walk slowly with their hands in the air towards the boat. Get taken prisoner. Interrogated like crazy for intel. A few of the guys realize they can never go home. Some agree to instruct US military officers on common enemy tactics and traps in exchange for better treatment. Uncle eventually manages to make a deal of some sort that gets him released. Lives in South Vietnam for a while, then leaves for the US before the communists win. Finish medical studies to become a medical representative. Can we post one that aren't paranormal but are still spooky? Go to grandmother's one day to do some gardening. On the way, see this old woman in her 80s trying to cut ivy above her front door with garden shears. Can't reach and can barely hold the shears. Tell her if she can hold on a couple of hours, I'll do it for her on the way back. Suspicious, and I don't have the most welcoming face. Asks me if my dad's called Billy. He is. Not surprised she knew, because me and him really look alike, and complete strangers who know him have stopped me in the streets to ask if he's my dad. Once I confirm it, she seems much more comfortable and accepts my offer. Go back couple of hours later. Only takes about 10 minutes to do everything. Let her know I'm finished and I'm heading home. But she's made me a cup of tea. British people love tea. Explain my parents are waiting for me and I have to get back. It's only a quick cup of tea. Feel sorry for her because maybe she has no company. Except on the condition I can call my parents and let them know I'm going to be late. She agrees but insists she call them because she hasn't spoke to my mom for ages and I can drink my tea. Seems fair. Give her the number. She makes the call and starts conversation with my mum. Sitting in the living room waiting for tea to cool. Glance around like you do in new places. Phone is on a little table just outside living room opposite where I am. Notice something.
Excuse me? Who are you talking to?
Phone doesn't even have a wire on it to plug in anywhere. Gives me the most menacing look and hands up. Screw this. Barge my way out while she keeps apologizing and telling me I haven't finished my tea. Nah, screw that. Get home. Tell parents about it. Dad asks if she's called Doris. She is. Turns out she poisoned her parents and brother. Didn't pass away and was in some nut place for years. Had a real vendetta against my dad because my dad beat her son up when they were like 8. Who knows what was in that tea, bros? Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you liked what you saw, tap the like button please, and comment down below your thoughts and opinions on the stories that I've covered in this video, and subscribe to soothe that fascination.